Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a huge idea. The biggest battles you'll ever face aren't out there in the world, they're happening right between your own ears. We're going to break down a battle plan for your mind, based on the book Winning the War in Your Mind. So this quote right here is the absolute core of everything we're going to talk about. It's a pretty bold claim, isn't it? The idea that our thoughts aren't just these random, fleeting things, but that they're literally the architects of our destiny. They're the operating system our entire life runs on.
Okay, so let's make this personal for a second. If your life is really, truly moving in the direction of your thoughts, is this where you want to go? Do you like the destination? And look, if the answer is no, or even just not really, then the whole point of this explainer is to give you a roadmap to change course.
All right, section 1, your thoughts, your destiny. The main idea here is that your thoughts aren't just passive. Nope, they are actively, right now, shaping your future.
And this is what's so fascinating. The book pulls together two worlds that you might think are completely separate. On one side, you've got ancient scripture, the Bible, telling people for thousands of years to focus their minds on what's true and good. And on the other side, you've got modern science, specifically something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which shows us that so many of our struggles, anxiety, depression, are rooted in distorted thought patterns. When ancient wisdom and modern psychology are saying the exact same thing, you got to pay attention to that.
So this brings us to the central metaphor of the whole book. Your mind is a battlefield. It's the place where the most important victories and the most crushing defeats happen, a lot of the time without us even realizing there's a war going on.
Section 2, the lie that locks you. Now, in this mental war, the book says the enemy's #1 weapon is the lie. It's just a deceptive thought that we decide to accept as the truth.
And when you tell yourself a lie over and over and over again, it digs in and becomes what the book calls a stronghold. Think of it like a castle fortress. The lie has such a stronghold on you that it feels totally impenetrable, and it ends up dictating your every move because you're convinced it's just the way things are.
To really get this, think about this story about Harry Houdini. The guy was the greatest escape artist in the world, right? He could get out of any jail cell. But there was this one time he was in a cell and he struggled for hours, just couldn't do it, totally defeated, only to find out that the jailer had never actually locked the door in the first place. He wasn't trapped by a lock, he was trapped by the lie that the door was locked.
And that story just forces us to ask ourselves, what lies are we believing? What unlocked doors are keeping us trapped? What kind of freedom is waiting for us on the other side of a door that isn't even locked?
So, what do we do? How do we fight back? Well, the book lays out this really clear three-part battle plan. First, you have to identify the lie. Then, the two big strategies are to rewire your brain with truth and reframe your reality with gratitude. Let's break down those two actions right now.
Okay, section 3, rewire your brain. This is all about what's called the rewire principle, where we intentionally change our thought patterns by actually understanding a little bit about how our brain works.
You see, every single thought we have carves a tiny little pathway in our brain. The book compares it to a dirt road. The more you drive down that road, the deeper the ruts get, until eventually your wheels just automatically fall into that path. A lie that you repeat often enough becomes a deep, effortless, automatic rut for your mind.
So the strategy here isn't to just try and stop thinking the negative thought. That rarely works. The strategy is to intentionally dig a new path, to create what the book calls a trench of truth, right alongside the old one. A powerful, positive declaration that you choose to focus on instead.
So how do you actually dig this new trench? The method is all about focused repetition. The book says to find a specific truth from Scripture that directly fights your lie. Turn it into a personal I am or I have statement, and then you just repeat it. You write it down, you think it, you say it out loud, you confess it until you don't just know it in your head, you believe it in your gut.
All right, section 4, reframe your reality. This is the second major tactic in our battle plan. It's called the reframe principle, and it's all about becoming a master of your own perspective. Now this, right here, this is a total game changer. We can't control most of what happens to us. We just can't, but we can always control the story we tell ourselves about it. That is the one power nobody can ever take away from you. It's a technique psychologists call cognitive reframing.
A perfect example of this is the Apostle Paul. So, picture this. He's in prison. The obvious way to frame that is, it's over. My plan failed. I am trapped. That's the trap. But he chose a completely different frame. He saw his chains not as a prison, but as a passport. A unique opportunity to share his message with the elite Roman guards, an audience he would never have been able to reach otherwise. And that was his mind-blowing conclusion. From a Roman prison, he didn't just put up with it. He rejoiced because of his circumstances. Just by choosing a different frame, he found a deep sense of purpose where anyone else would have just seen punishment. And this idea of reframing, it works for our past too. The book suggests this really radical form of gratitude, thanking God for the things He didn't do, for the prayers He didn't answer. The author talks about how a career-ending baseball injury, something he prayed desperately against, was the very thing that led him to his wife and his real calling in life. It's about seeing those unwanted detours as hidden blessings.
And these things aren't just feel-good exercises. The book points to research that shows they have measurable physical effects on your brain. And that's where this number comes in. One study showed that just 12 minutes of focused daily prayer over 8 weeks can create real, tangible, positive changes in the brain. Just 12 minutes a day.
Ultimately, winning this war in your mind comes down to reframing your deepest sense of who you are. It's about consciously and actively replacing the lies, the ones that say you're a failure, you're not good enough, with what the book argues is your true identity. You're not a victim. You are loved, you are forgiven, healed, new, redeemed, free, chosen, and empowered. So in the end, it really all boils down to this. The war for your mind is won one single thought at a time. The entire battle plan we've just talked about, it starts right now with one decision. So I'll just leave you with this question. If you could change just one thought today, what would it be?